This is ContraZoom, where we go back and forth about film. I'm your host, Dakota Arsenault. It's that time of year, finally. We are a week away from the Academy Awards, and we have our annual Oscar predictions. For the last 4 weeks, I podcasted about all of the Best Picture nominees and had our yearly Oscar draft. Now it's time to put my middling reputation on the line. Joining me today as we pretend to be experts, helping you win that Oscar pool at your office, is Thomas Stoneham Judge, who runs For Real. Thomas was last heard on episode 326, the 2026 Oscar draft, where Thomas managed to snag Kokuo with his last pick. Welcome back to the show, Thomas. How are you doing?
I'm good, but if you think your reputation's middling, people should go back and listen to that episode.
Now, I am not calling you out or putting you on blast for picking Kokuo specifically. It was just the way the manner it went down. It's a little cheeky, and I do encourage people to go back and listen to it because I think we all had a lot of fun discussing what movie should have been picked.
It is kind of fun. You know, I think that I like to be optimistic about what the Oscars do, and sometimes that optimism is misplaced. But you know, sometimes I have to support what I love. So
yeah, and that means watching a 3-hour movie multiple times and not seeing other big nominees.
I still have some time to get to The Secret Agent. I still have some time.
Now, you did promise that you were going to watch it before the Oscars. Are you still planning on doing that?
You know, I want to. You know what?
That doesn't sound very convincing.
I'll go ahead and commit to that. I will watch The Secret Agent before the Oscars. Let's go ahead.
Yeah?
I think that's the last Best Picture nominee that I have not seen yet. So, you know, I have a week. I don't see why not.
Okay. Speaking of movies we haven't seen, my Oscar death race, which I do every year, where I watch every single nominated film, I am currently at 44 out of 50 films. So I have 6 films remaining, 5 of them being features and 1 short left. I think I'm going to make it. I have some time off the week before the Oscars where I'm going to cram the last few movies I have to watch. One of them does include said 3-hour movie, Kokuo. So I'm very excited.
Are you gonna journey out to let's see, where is it playing in Vancouver? It's I think it's in Richmond. I think there's a theater there that's playing it.
No, I will be watching it online.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes, yeah. That's far too far for me. I'm not going out there.
I almost drove to Richmond for it.
That's fair. Honestly, you going to Richmond is not that far of a drive.
It's not. It really isn't. I think the only reason I ended up seeing it in Redmond was because I happened to be in the Seattle area already. So, no, I'm sorry. I went to Seattle. I was going to go to Redmond, and then I went with Baker to see it in Seattle. So,
nice. All right, well, let's get into this. I kind of made a convoluted way of what order we're going to go. You know, not too dissimilar from the way the Oscar broadcast does do things. I'm going to start with below-the-line categories and then slowly sort of work their way up more in prestige and importance. Not that any of the categories are more or less important, but they will end on Best Picture is going to be the last category that we're going to predict. And so we're going to do 2 things here. We're going to say who we think will win and who we want to win. If you feel like you haven't seen enough movies in the category, feel free to chime in and say that. Or if you're like, I've only seen one of them, but I loved it, it'd be great if it won. Definitely feel like you can say that too. As I said, I've now seen 44 out of 50 movies, so most of the categories I have completed. There is one category where I'm, the most the furthest away from completing, and that's makeup and hairstyling. There's 2 movies I'm missing. Everything else I've seen at minimum 4 or all of them. So, all that said, let us get right into this and start with, let's start with a brand new category this year, and that is Best Casting. We've spent a lot of time debating what the Best Casting Award is going to look like. I feel like we've all sort of come to the conclusion of we don't know, and it's going to probably take a couple of years to truly understand what the Academy values in casting, whether it's, getting the right set of leads, a big ensemble, memorable supporting characters. What does it mean, breakthrough performances by, new or young actors? We don't really know. They can definitely go in a whole bunch of different routes. But based on how you view casting, what you think of the nominees, who do you think will win and who do you think should win, Thomas?
I just want to start by saying, because There's a movie in here that that's going to come up a few times. I'm looking forward to spending this episode clowning on Timothy Chalamet. That's going to be fun. His statements, I think, I don't know how voting works specifically, but his statements that have been circling the internet about other art forms has certainly not helped his reputation, which is unfortunate. But because he's so far had kind of a very bold campaign for his best actor uh, uh, bid. Anyway, I mentioned that because we have Marty Supreme in the casting list. Hamnet was a movie I really loved. One Battle After Another, loved. Secret Agent, I'm getting around to. Sinners, loved. Um, I think that I think that this is definitely an ensemble kind of category where we're hopefully the Academy is looking at the collection of performances and rewarding the chemistry between an ensemble of characters or an ensemble of actors. I mean, so that's what I'm hoping comes out of this category, and we'll. But like you said, we'll see. I also have a feeling that with the Oscars trying to appeal to a broader audience, it could be a popularity contest. This could be maybe something that goes to the more popular film just because we're trying to appeal to more mainstream audiences. I don't know. That's an option. So we'll this could also stand in as like if there's an actor that wasn't in the above the line categories and they want to honor that actor or that performance somehow. I guess this could be that as well. We don't know. Like you said, we have no idea. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, that's very true. So yeah, who do you think will win and who do you think should win?
Oh yeah, that was the question. Sorry. Who I think will win? Boy, we're gonna spend a lot of time toggling back and forth between One Battle After Another and Sinners. So I'm going to put both of those up and maybe lean into your expertise about which one will win in your opinion. I want Sinners to win. I think that was my favorite movie of the year, and I think that cast really was an ensemble that worked together very, very well, and that really did an awesome job just kind of curating this era of when the story takes place. So I want Sinners to win, but I think who will win will probably be between One Battle and Sinners. Again, maybe for the
I'm gonna have
popularity
to get you
reasons.
to lock in one here.
What's
I'm
that?
putting these down. I need you to lock in one.
Oh, okay. You know what? Here's what I'll do. I'm gonna say One Battle After Another will win, but I want Sinners to win.
Okay, there we go. I like that. For me, I'll first start off with your comments about Timothy Chalamet and what a masterclass he's been putting on, using air quotes very heavily there. Voting ended March 5th. So
All
at the
right.
time of recording, this is now 2 days later. I think this news started coming out yesterday on the 6th,
Mm-hmm.
if I followed along correctly, based on comments he said on the 5th. So it probably won't impact him.
Right.
Just like how people are thinking The Bride's terrible reviews and opening are going to impact Jesse Buckley. It won't.
Mm-hmm.
Voting is closed. That is done. It's all narrative at this point.
Thanks for
But yeah,
clarifying that.
so
I was
yeah, no
wondering
worries, no
because when
worries.
that started circling the internet, yeah, when we get to the above the line, I have more comments.
Mm-hmm. In terms of where I'm at, I think, speaking of Chalamet, I think Marty Supreme should be the winner, only because that ensemble cast really kind of reminded me of like the heyday of a Coen Brothers movie where every side character was so memorable and unique, and I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was so fresh, and we don't really get a lot of movies like that anymore. But in terms of who I think will win, I think it's actually going to be Sinners. I agree with you. I think it's going to come down to either Sinners or One Battle After Another. This might be a case where, similar to editing, where it might be one that goes along with the eventual Best Picture winner. I don't really know. That's going to be
Mm-hmm.
something to see. But I don't know. Yeah, they both movies have multiple acting nominations, so it's so hard to tell. They clearly like the cast in both of those movies. I'm just going off base of the SAG Awards, the actors,
Mm-hmm.
with all the love that Sinners got. I think this might be their award.
Well,
So I don't know.
it's so interesting. Not to just a few more moments on this because it's going to be really interesting to see if this is a category that complements what ends up happening above the line, or if it's a category that's antithetical to what happens
Yes.
above the line. I know a lot of times when people vote, they say, oh well, I voted for this person here, so maybe, as an honorary vote, I'll do this in this other category that's similar. That could very well happen here, or it could very much be consensus where, we like these actors in the above the line, so we're going to vote for them in casting as well. We'll have to see.
100%. Yeah, no, that's very, very true. And it's going to be very interesting to sort of see how that plays out.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, let's go to our next category, and that is Best Cinematography.
Mm-hmm.
I'll start with this one
Yeah.
here. In terms of who I think should win, I'm going with Train Dreams. I
Absolutely.
absolutely adored this movie. I thought it was so beautifully shot. I know it wasn't shot on film, but it definitely was given the look to appear that it was, which is odd because, I love movies that are shot on film, and there are several in this category that are, and I'm picking the one that wasn't. Both Sinners and One Battle were shot on film, and I don't know if Marty Supreme and Frankenstein was. I cannot remember off the top of my head if they were or not. I think Marty Supreme actually was too. But yeah, Train Dreams. Absolutely love the look of this. This was a nominee for our Best Cascadian Film this past year over in our critics group, and it is a stunning film to look at. Who I think will win, though, I think it's going to be Sinners. It's hard to argue against what Ryan Coogler was doing with the IMAX format, really pushing the 70 millimeter look to the extreme in terms of what can be captured, where it's sort of him and Christopher Nolan are the only two that are really using film to the full extent these days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna keep this simple and short, and agree with you. Train Dreams is gorgeous to look at. Absolutely stunning cinematography. But yeah, technically speaking, I think Sinners does incredible things, and they built a really solid campaign around how much consideration went into the look of this film and how it was captured. And so ever since it came out, there's been lots of clips and featurettes about educating on the aspect ratio and filming on film. And so I think technically speaking, that might appeal more to the Academy.
I still think the best marketing tool they put out was that Ryan Coogler video where he visited Kodak and
Mm-hmm.
explained the differences in all the different film sizes.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't seen that yet, it is a stunning piece of film where he explains literally every single kind of film stock that there is.
Totally. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, so good. All right, let's go over to Best Film Editing, a below-the-line category that is synonymous with usually a Best Picture winner. Who do you want to win, and who do you think will win here?
Who do I want to win? This is one where who I want to win and who I think will win might be the same. I'm going to go with Sinners.
Okay.
I mean, this is going to be a very interesting year because, like I said, I think a lot of these awards are going to toggle between One Battle and Sinners. I just happen to like Sinners longer than I liked One Battle after another, and so just because it came out sooner. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm skewing is Sinners taking home a lot of awards this evening.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good pick. For me, editing, the big thing for me is tension. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
love in a well edited movie because so often it's so hard to actually judge what is good editing and what is not what's bad editing,
Mm-hmm.
other than like were you entertained the whole way through or was your attention kept the whole way through. But for me, tension is the big one. Are you able to maintain tension and build this story where you're on the edge of your seat? That's sort of what I look for in a
I
winner.
think I know where you're going with this.
So who I want to win is One Battle
Of
After Another.
course, that tension in
Yeah.
that movie is unparalleled. It's so great.
Yeah. Especially with that climactic car chase, it's sort of hard to
Right.
argue against that, where something so simple as some rolling hills
Mm-hmm.
can be one of the most tense scenes of the year.
Yeah, I've
Uh,
said Fast and Furious couldn't make a car chase scene that enthralling.
no, of course not. And, they're flying cars up to the moon,
Right.
which is insane. But who I think will win, I think the Academy is going to swerve, and I'm using this pun here,
Oh
for
no.
F1.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I think it's just going to combine with one of my later picks where those two categories often go hand in hand. And I would not be surprised if maybe they do it there, especially if there's maybe a bit of a vote splitting happening between the One Battle and Sinners crowd for this category.
F1 I think is going to do well in technical categories where it's not competing too directly with the top two. I just personally don't know why it's here. Uh, anyway, that's for another
Fair.
podcast.
All right. Well, let's go over now to best costume design. So this is actually a category I feel very weak about this year. I'm not thrilled with the nominees. Like none of them are bad, but like I don't know if it was just a case of this year didn't have the type of films that usually get recognized or what. But my both who I think will win and who I think should win goes to Frankenstein, and it's sort of by default. You know, Mia Goth has some gorgeous gowns, and Oscar Isaac definitely has some really nice suits that he has going on. But like overall, like it's fine. It's not anything groundbreaking. It's not like anything we haven't seen before. But out of the 5 nominees we have, I do think it's the best.
Yeah, I will always and forever be mad that Kokuo didn't get more recognition, because that is absolutely a contender in this category, but it's not nominated, and I'm gonna try my hardest not to complain too much about that. Um, I'm actually so who I think will win. I'll go with you as well, Frankenstein. I think this is a category that um that movies that don't really have a chance in the more competitive categories might get a little more sympathy. And so I think Frankenstein is one of those movies where it's like we want to award it something, but we don't know where to put it. So costume design might be the one for Frankenstein. I would want Sinners to win. Ruthie Carter has a winning track record with the Oscars, and Sinners is the front runner here as far as awards for this evening, in my opinion. So I would want Sinners to win. I would love to see her awarded for her work with the costume design in that movie because it is really good for capturing that era, of course. But yeah, this seems like a category where it's like Frankenstein doesn't have there's not a whole lot of opportunities for Frankenstein to win something. Maybe we give it to it here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I sort of agree with that. And like, while I haven't seen Kokuo, I've definitely seen enough stills and clips from it where I would absolutely agree with you that it should have been nominated here.
Thank
And it's sort of a
you. I
shame
needed
that it
some
was ignored.
validation.
I will give you that validation.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. Well, let's move over to best makeup and hairstyling. And what do you have for this category?
Well, as we've already alluded to, I want Kokuo to win. It's so underrepresented here at the Oscars, and if anybody watched that movie, they should know that this movie deserves so much more. And so if you're going to give an honorary award, like Kokuo should be it here. So I would like that to win, but I think very similar to costume designing, this might be one that goes to Frankenstein. Um, just being another it's a category, makeup and hairstyling. I hate that it's such a throwaway category, or that the perception is such a throwaway category, because makeup and hairstyling is so important in filmmaking. um and so I think this is just one where it's like the most on it's treated as the most honorary award. The movie that's not going to get awards anywhere else gets makeup and hairstyling. So I kind of illustrated that with costume design. I think the same thing for makeup and hairstyling. They'll probably go with Frankenstein.
Okay. I haven't seen Kokuo. I've seen the stills, but of the ones that I have seen, I'm gonna actually go with Sinners as my choice of what I think should win.
Mhm.
I really like the vampire look for Jack O'Connell once he like
Mm-hmm.
makes this transformation and his like fingers get really long and gnarly and it's like he's got the rows of teeth and the blood coming down from his mouth. I think that looks absolutely terrific. And then there's like quite a few characters who like get bitten in the transformations that they go through as they're like either being transformed into vampires or being eaten. I think they did a great job with that. So that's my choice for who I think should win from this category. Obviously, I reserved the right to change this once I finally watch Kokuo before the Oscars.
Mm-hmm.
And I will let you know if I do, Thomas.
Yes.
But yeah, I agree with you. It sort of feels like it's going to Frankenstein. And I think it's going to be sort of a combination of, yes, the monster makeup does look really good, but also the fact that Jacob Elordi really sells it too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I think this is going to be as much of a win for the hair and makeup department as it is for a consolation prize of Jacob Elordi not winning supporting actor.
Totally. I can see that.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's move over to the best original score category. This is also one that I feel like is a little bit of a weaker year. I enjoyed all of the scores here, but I wasn't blown away by any of them like I have in the past. I am gonna go be a little bit boring and say both my want to win and should win is going to be One Battle After Another. I love Johnny Greenwood as a musician. He's scored quite a few of Paul Thomas Anderson's films, and I think he does a really unique, interesting work here that I think stands out compared to the other four. What about you? Where do you stand on this category?
Well, what I want to win is Hamnet. I listen to that score like pretty routinely now. It's just such an emotional score, and that's such an emotional movie. It just resonates with me. I would love for Hamnet to win that one. But I do agree with you. I think it's going to go to One Battle After Another.
Interesting. Yeah, so Hamnet was the scores by Max Richter, which I did think that was a very beautiful and sort of delicate score. Yeah, this category overall was very interesting because I really like the Begonia score by Jerskin Fendrix, but like it sounded exactly like the work that he did on Poor Things. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. And Alexander Desplat for Frankenstein also always turns in great work, but I've heard better scores from him. And I feel like the Sinner score by Ludwig Göransson. Music was integral to this film, but I feel like the songs
Right.
itself were more memorable than the score.
That's exactly what I would like. That's the one reason I wouldn't give it to Sinners, because I visit the Sinners soundtrack often, but it's for the
Hmm.
music. It's for like the songs,
Yeah.
and not all the songs are original either. So it's yeah. I think that there are more original, more uh yeah, I guess original is what I'm going for. Soundtrack. But Hamnet is another one that kind of has that problem as well, because at the climax of that movie, instead of having original music, it uses the song. I think it's On the Nature of Daylight, which is used in a lot of film, for like an emotional shortcut, and it works really really well. But I do like the original themes and the original songs of that as well. It's just that at the climax, it does use another song.
Mm. Okay. Well, staying in the musical category, let's go to Best Original Song. This was, the year of Golden and K-pop Demon Hunters, but what are your thoughts on the category?
Original song.
Yeah.
Yeah, Golden. Both what I well, okay, let me clarify. Golden, I think, is what's gonna win. I think what should win is I Lied to You. Because I think when we're talking about original songs that really stand out as a pivotal part of the movie, I'd Lied to You is just transformative. The problem is that Golden is just a better radio record, and is has permeated uh, a pop culture. You can't go anywhere without hearing that song, and I mean, it's a bop. It's caught on, it's catchy, and K-pop certainly should get the recognition that's long overdue for it. And so I think that's just what's going to happen with Golden. But I would want I Lied to You to win.
That's fair. I I wish I could say I want Train Dreams from Train Dreams to win, but I would just be lying to myself. I have become a huge sucker for Huntrix, and so I both want to win and think will win Golden from K-pop Demon Hunters.
Right. Yeah.
But the real disappointment in all of this is that we're not getting all five nominees being played live at the Oscars, which is a real shame.
Yeah. We'll get to more, I guess, about that later.
Yeah, it's very frustrating for me because like I love the Train Dream song and it would have been great to see Nick Cave perform it. I Lied to You, we're getting that along with Golden. And then Dear Me from the Diane Warren documentary is performed by Kesha. It's not a very strong song, but like I don't know, Kesha's a great performer that I'd
Mhm.
be more than happy to see her at the Oscars. And then Sweet Dreams of Joy from Viva Verity is the only movie I haven't seen from this category, so I can't comment on this one.
Yeah, I know that I don't know exactly the reasons they did away with that tradition, I guess, but I mean, is the show any more on time without it? I don't know.
No, it's not.
So like, why are we getting rid of that?
I know. Yeah. All right. Well, let's go to best production design. My should win in this category. I would love it if Marty Supreme won here. I really like the look of post-war New York. I think they did a great job with that, especially all of the ping pong halls that they have. They do a really great job of sort of setting this atmosphere and tone for the movie. What I think will win is Frankenstein, and like I'm not crazy about this. Yeah, they do a really good job with his laboratory and stuff like that. But like once again, kind of similar to the costumes, we've seen this before. This isn't that original. There's better looking Frankenstein movies out there. Not talking about the latest one that just came out. That aside, but yeah, it's a bit of a frustrating. It sort of feels like Frankenstein might be sweeping some of the more technical categories, which is a bit of a shame because I'd love the love to be spread elsewhere, considering it sort of seems like two movies are already going to dominate most of the awards.
Hmm. Yeah, I would. I actually would want Sinners to win this one. I think I really, especially when you look at how the town was, how that is structured around this era, and having one side be for one people and the other side for the other, and then of course you get into the juke joint and how that's designed. Like everything about this movie feels so lived in. I think, and I wish that was that would be the winner here. But again, I think this could go to Frankenstein. I don't know why that movie looks so digital.
I know.
And I mean that's the same reason I won't give Avatar costume design. Everything's digital. Like what? Why is it even nominated? But Frankenstein looks so digital that I don't think it's a valid nominee here. Especially when I would have put Coco here. But yeah, again, this is probably one where it's let's reward Frankenstein for something that is it can. I guess we can argue it as a contender for. I don't know what the argument is,
Yeah,
but
yeah, 100%. All right, well, let's move over to best sound,
mhm.
and let's start with you, Thomas. What are your thoughts on this
you
category?
know, I said I don't know why F1 is here. But if there was any reason for it to be at the Oscars, sound is that reason. Um, I think um what what should win? Surat. That movie blew me away. Pun intended if you've seen it. But but no, I think what should win and what will win is F1.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. If the Oscars had any sort of guts, Seurat would be the winner
Hmm.
here. It's such a unique and bold film with its sound design. Uh, but there's no way in hell that they would ever give this award there
No.
to that film. Uh,
Like, wouldn't that be an upset if Surat wins
yeah, it really
sound?
would.
I mean,
Yeah.
I would not be upset if F1 got shut out of winning anything. Um, and and Surat would be like one of the coolest upsets here in the sound departments. Um,
Hmm.
but we'll see. I have a hard time. I have a hard time, like you said, seeing them giving it to Surat.
Hell, it'd be even an inspired pick if Sinners won it here, considering the way that they incorporate music into the film.
Heck yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think. Yeah, I agree with you. It would be cool to see Sinners pick up this award, but um, yeah, I guess there's three front runners there that I think are you can make an argument for. But if they want to, award the Brad Pitt movie, this would be the category.
Yeah. All that said, though, I am going to be a basic bitch. I want F1 to win, and I think he'll win as well. I do really think they did a great job of capturing the sound of race
Mhm.
cars live on real tracks, and having that experience in IMAX was really cool, and I really enjoyed it. You sort of felt like you were in on the action too. So because of that, I have no problem with it winning if it does.
Mhm. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go over to best visual effects, where it's James Cameron and his merry band of friends, and no one else.
Right. This is visual effects sponsored by Avatar. Um,
Yes.
Look, I'm not even that high on the visual effects of Avatar. I don't like it, they're good. Okay, look, I don't want to be a downer on the visual effects team. Like there's a lot of work that goes into these Avatar movies. Um, but I don't see the appeal here. It reminds me back when Beowulf came out and everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, Beowulf is like the best visual effects ever." Have you gone back to see Beowulf? Those visual effects are rough.
Yeah, they haven't aged very
No,
well.
they haven't. And I look at the Avatar movies and I see them as just these like really vibrant, it looks animated. I mean, and is that like, are we awarding this as a live action movie that used animation to look live action? Because if that's the case, it doesn't look live action to me. It looks animated. Put it in the best animated category. I actually wouldn't argue with that. Um, Actually, I would. I would not make that one of the best animated movies. But if you argue that it's an animated movie, I would do that. No, it's just a bunch of animation, and that's not what I'm looking for in visual effects. I'm looking for things that are integrated well into the story, and that really complement the story instead of distract from it. And Avatar is just distracting, in my opinion. um all of that said, it's probably going to win, and that's so unfortunate. I think I want Sinners to win here. I think I haven't seen The Lost Bus, but I think Sinners is probably the most practical use of visual effects in this category, and that's what I like to award here. But gosh, Avatar, can we stop with Avatar? Do you not have better things to do with your life, uh, James Cameron? Like, why do we keep making these movies? I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, it sort of seems like right now they're up in the air about whether or not they're going to continue to make them or not. It seems like the third one has made a lot of money, but James Cameron is being sort of non-committal about it. So it's going to be interesting to sort of see where we go from here.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, as an avowed Avatar hater, this was my favorite of the three, which is, sort of damning it with faint praise here. I really did like the fire aspect. I thought that was done pretty gorgeously in terms of doing different things from the first two Avatar movies, where we got a lot of water and flowy trees and weird tail nubs, things like
Pixar
that.
does that. I mean, look, look, and here's my thing. The more I think about it, I don't know how many other categories Avatar is in, so I'll just get this opinion out there now. If Avatar: Fire and Ash had removed the military, I actually might have liked this movie. The
Mm.
military is so imposed onto this story unnecessarily that I'm just like, let's go back watch Way of Water or the first Avatar. Like, why does this always have to be a military movie? If you just live in this Avatar world and tell stories about the conflicts between the native people in this world, that is good enough. Stop making it about the military. James Cameron, if you're listening to this, take all my advice because I know everything, obviously.
Yeah, no, James Cameron definitely does. He often sends me notes afterwards.
Yeah. I'm sure you have him on speed dial.
I do. All of us Canadians, we stick together.
All right.
But yeah, I'm being boring here. It really is kind of an odd category this year. I think it's going to win. Avatar, I think it's going to win, and I'm picking it to win only because it sort of feels like out of an obligation of like, yeah, I really like what Sinners did, but like, I don't know. I'm boring. Call me
I
boring.
just hate that a category like this makes movies like Jurassic World Rebirth Oscar nominated. Like,
Yeah.
come on, guys. Like, that's not Jurassic World Rebirth should not be on the same platform as Coco. Okay,
Yeah.
both of those movies should not be of equal caliber of Oscar nominated.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, let's move into the short section here, and so we're gonna start with best live action short. I've now seen all 5 of these movies, so I feel confident enough to sort of talk about my preference of them. I actually really liked all of these. They're very good. Normally, this category is the most depressing category of the year, but surprisingly, it wasn't this year, which made it easy to watch them all, which I'm very thankful for. My should win of this category was actually a movie you picked in the draft, and that was The Singers, which is a Netflix short about a group of roughnecks in a bar, basically, who have a singing competition to see who is the best singer in the bar. It's based on, I think, a Russian short story, and it's this very beautiful movie, very sweet and lots of surprises. I really liked it. And
Mhm.
then the movie I think will win is one called Jane Austen's period drama. It's really funny. It's the shortest of the group. It really kind of gets to the punch about this like Jane Austen era story about this young woman who's about to be proposed to, and at the very moment that her soon-to-be fiance proposes, he realizes that she is bleeding from her nether regions, and he is baffled because all of his education has not taught him about periods. So she teaches him about periods.
Mhm.
And it's great.
It's actually really funny. I spend a lot of my year championing short films, and I am very underexposed to the short film categories this year, which I uh hopefully can correct before next week. But in our draft, I said that I would see the singers before I saw Secret Agent, and that was true. I did see the singers. It is what I think should win, and I want them to pick it to win. It does have the benefit of Netflix's backing. I'm not sure where Jane Austen's period drama, who's distributed that one, but the Singers is really good, and that Netflix banner could be what pushes it over the finish line. But yeah, honestly, I really enjoyed this one. It's music that really speaks to me, and on the on the subject of music performances, The Singers is the kind of performances I'd like to see at the Oscars. So, I highly doubt that they'll give that kind of platform for a short film, but that is what I would like to see. And a small note, it's funny because opera comes up in this movie at one point, and I'm just like, somebody hide Timothy Chalamet before he says something else stupid.
Yeah, very true. Okay, well, let's move over to Best Animated Short, another category where I've seen all five. This is usually the category that has a bit more levity, but I am going with the most depressing film in this category for both who I want to win and who I think should win. And that's a movie called Butterfly or Papillon, and it is about discrimination faced by a Jewish swimmer during World War II, and so he was an Olympian, ended up getting arrested, um, and a lot of his family was killed in concentration camps and things like that. And sort of the perseverance he faced, he overcame to continue his swimming career afterwards, after dealing with the Olympics that were held in Germany at the start of World War II. It's a very powerful film. It's looks like it was all done with like paint and like acrylic paint, so it's got this very like beautiful art look to it, like paint painting frames. Words are not coming to me right now, but like they look like paintings is what I'm trying to say, and it's a stunning film. All five of these films were very interesting and all had unique art styles, but this was one that I think had a great message behind it and looked beautiful.
Nice. I unfortunately have not seen any of these nominees, and so I might need to go find a shorts program screening at some point to get all these in.
Nice. Okay, well then the next category is Best Documentary Short. There is one movie in this category I have not seen. So of the four that I have seen, my favorite that I think should win is one called The Devil is Busy. And this is about an abortion clinic in, I want to say Tennessee. I can't remember which state it was. It was somewhere in the South, where they are one of the states that now has the 6-week abortion ban where you cannot get an abortion after 6 weeks. And so this clinic is dealing with having to turn away women who are past the 6-week mark, and how it just kills them inside knowing that these women are coming to them at a time of need and crisis, and probably didn't even know they were pregnant until past the 6-week mark, and they have to turn them away and try to offer them different resources and be like, well, sorry, you maybe can drive down to Florida if you can do that, which is already, trying to travel large distances is already often a struggle enough. And so it's a very moving, very powerful film that I appreciate a lot. And I think it's a message that's going to resonate politically with a lot of voters.
Mm.
This is a very political category, and one that I think voters will be able to easily get on board for. Although the one that I think is going to win is actually the only one I haven't seen, and that is a movie called All the Empty Rooms, which is about victims of school shootings. So, another uplifting theme.
um,
Um,
very
so I'm picking this basically purely on thematics, and sort of what the politics of the voting body might go for.
Yeah, that makes sense. The Devil is Busy. It takes place in Atlanta. I just googled it. And so,
Ah, yes, Georgia. Yep, yep. Thank you.
but yeah, I was looking and I mean, HBO does documentaries is really good at championing documentaries. And All the Empty Rooms is Netflix, and so that this is a very interesting, interesting race there. And once again, this is a category I've not seen any in, so I'm taking notes from you, and
Hmm.
I will just have to find an evening to be really depressed
Yeah,
to,
that's true.
to get through all these.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get back into our feature categories, and we'll start with Best International Film. Thomas, I've been talking a lot
Hmm.
here. What are your thoughts on this category?
Well, apparently, I haven't seen what could be the front runner, which is The Secret Agent. I want It Was Just an Accident to win. Um, I think that movie is so well done and so well um, just made, especially under the conditions that it was made, because it's a film that had to be made in secret, and there was a whole campaign about how that worked. In fact, I talked with the editor who was telling me about the challenges of running dailies on this movie, while not being able to talk about it or having to do that in secret. So I mean, that's a movie that has been in awards conversations for a while, and I think that maybe that momentum has kind of died out, as movies like The Secret Agent gets more buzz. And I think Sentimental Value is another one that's kind of lost a lot of steam. Um, I I liked Sentimental Value, but it's not one of my favorite films of international films of the year. And so I think what I want to win, It Was Just an Accident, but I think that the momentum that The Secret Agent has might actually push that one over the line.
Yeah, that's very true. I'm on the same page as you. I want It Was Just an Accident to win.
Mhm.
I absolutely adore this film. I thought it was so stunning. You're right about all the secrecy and everything that was going on behind the scenes of trying to make a movie while being banned from making
Mhm.
movies is a crazy thing to even conceptualize. But I am going with Sentimental Value for who I think will win. It has the most nominations out of all the international films this year. I loved it.
Mhm.
It's a great film. It's hard to argue against it. I think, frankly, any of the nominees in this category, I'd be very fine
Right.
with. Normally, this is always one of the strongest categories at the Oscars for me every year, and this year is no exception. And there's usually maybe like one movie where I'm like, it's the one I'm not crazy about. I seriously would be fine with any five of these films winning. They're all terrific.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think international. There's so many great international films that come out. One more time, Kokuo isn't here, and it should be. But so many great international films, and I think just the way that the industry is, we don't highlight those films nearly as much as we should in comparison to more American focused, more like North domestic films. And so this category is important for recognizing that there's great storytelling everywhere. And this is really just
Mhm.
a small sample size of some of the best international films.
Yes, that is very true. All right, let's go over to Best Animated Film. This is a category where there's one I have not seen. I've not seen Arco yet, but I've seen the other four. Bit of a weak category this
Yeah.
year. K-pop Demon Hunters was my favorite of this easily. Zootopia 2 was pretty solid too, but K-pop Demon Hunters is the one I want to win and the one that I think will win as well.
Avatar, Fire and Ash, minus the military.
Love it. Yes. Yes.
I actually have not seen most of these movies. In fact, I think it's only K-pop Demon Hunters and Zootopia 2 that I've seen. Although I've heard great things about Amelie, and Arco. Elio is kind of obligatory, I think. But yeah, I actually want Zootopia 2 to win. Just because for as a sequel, it is very hard to make a good sequel. I think studios are too good at making sequels based off of demand and not making them as good as the first one. And I actually thoroughly enjoyed Zootopia 2 just as much as the first Zootopia. But yeah, so I would want Zootopia 2 to win, but it's going to K-pop Demon Hunters. Um, and I don't even think that, like, just based on what I've heard about the other nominees that I haven't watched, I don't think it's the best of the animated movies. It's just the buzziest. It's the one that's gotten the most press, the most headlines, the one that people recognize most. And unfortunately, not unfortunately, because it is a fun film. I mean, you can't take that away from it. But sometimes that's what wins out over, like, you know, technical qualities, or more I don't know, more industry oriented thinking about how a film should be deserving of an award.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so let's go over to best documentary. Do you have any thoughts about this
You
category?
know what? Besides the fact that every one of these documentaries are Sundance films, um, that when I will remember watching when they announced the nominees, and they said them, like Alabama Solution. Oh yeah, that was at Sundance. Come See Me in the Good Light. Oh yeah, that was at Sundance. Cutting Through the Rocks, Sundance. Like literally all these movies are from Sundance, which, really, Sundance is great at putting out great documentaries. I couldn't even hazard a guess at what will win. What I want to win is Come See Me in the Good Light. That movie is stunning. It's beautiful. This would be a contender for best cinematography in my world as well. Stunning, stunning documentary. But I do hear a lot of buzz about the Perfect Neighbor. Um, I've heard a lot, like, of these nominees. The one that I hear most in conversation when it comes to documentaries is The Perfect Neighbor. Perhaps that's because it's on Netflix. And so I'm going to say I want Come See Me in the Good Light to win, and that the win will probably go to the Perfect Neighbor.
Yeah. Based on what I'm seeing, I think The Perfect Neighbor is probably going to win, and I think it's a bit of a shame. I I liked it. I don't like the conceit that they used to frame this movie.
Mm-hmm.
This is a movie about the stand your ground
Mm-hmm.
laws that are in the U.S., where if you believe you are in imminent danger on your own property, you can use deadly force. Um, and there is, so many infuriating cases where that gets used to, sort of allow people to get off the hook of killing someone.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a movie that, sets you up to believe that this is how this woman is going to, who shoots her neighbor, that you believe that she's going to get off the hook because she's going to use her your ground defense. And it turns out, no, she goes to jail for 25 to life. And I'm like, okay, so what was the point of this movie again? I get it's very, very sad, and this woman should not have died, and the woman who killed the other woman is clearly insane, but, like, why are we making a movie about this? I don't know. I was very confused. That's what I think that will win, but the one I want to win is The Alabama Solution, which is just an absolutely heartbreaking film about the state of the prison system, specifically in Alabama, but as a whole in the United States, where in Alabama the prisons are so overcrowded and so poorly maintained that prisoners are able to smuggle in so many cell phones that they're able to they conduct this entire documentary interviewing prisoners about the conditions of prisons, basically just by calling these guys up and, like, doing video calls with them. Like, that's how poorly run these prisons are, that, they have access to these cell phones and could do these. And so it's great that they're able to highlight the inhumanity and the poor conditions that they live in. But, like, it's so damn eye opening and shocking. And there's some truly grotesque stuff that you see in this film that you're like, how can we call ourselves human and, like, allow this to happen?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think the last thing I want to say is, Thomas, do you go to Sundance?
Is it that obvious?
I don't know. I feel like you mentioned it once or twice.
Quick plug, you can find our Sundance content at thisisforreal.com.
Yes. Thomas is the Sundance King.
Yeah.
You are the preeminent person I know that covers the festival. So yeah, that makes
Yeah.
perfect sense. You are big into that festival.
Thank you for the shout out for that.
All right, let's get into the screenplays. We're going to talk about best original screenplay here. The movie that I want to win is Sentimental Value.
Mhm.
This movie broke me. I love this. I love the conceit of using a life story to write a movie, and then using that to sort of work through the struggles and the trauma of your past and all this sort of stuff. I thought it was very beautifully constructed. I loved it all. What I think will win is Sinners. I have some issues with some of the scripting in this, especially the coda of this movie. I don't like the epilogue, the jump forward in time.
Wait,
That said,
what? The
yeah,
mid
I didn't
credit
like that
scene?
part.
The best mid credit
Yeah,
scene
I
that
don't
has
like.
ever mid credit scened?
Yeah, I don't like it. Doesn't work.
Damn, dude.
Yeah, yeah. Um, no, this is a beautifully original film that I think, especially the first half of the film before it gets to the vampire stuff, does such a great job of recreating this era of the South and what they do with it. I think it's so well crafted. Ryan Coogler did such a great job here, so that's why I think we'll win. What about you? What are your thoughts on this
I
category?
wish I felt as strongly about sentimental value as everyone else did. I don't. It's not even that I think it's a bad movie. I had the privilege of seeing this one. I think it was the premiere screening at TIFF, and so I was in the right space with the right audience, and like I took it in and I appreciated it. But I just wasn't like weeping at the end of Sentimental Value like I was at Hamnet. Oh my god, I was a mess at the end of Hamnet. But different strokes, right? Movies affect everyone differently. With that said, what I want to win and what I think should win is okay. Let's diversify this a little bit. What I want to win is It Was Just an Accident. And what I think will win is Sinners. I just I
Okay, I'm totally on board
Yeah,
there.
I just loved the dialogue. Like the dialogue is really what pushes this movie. In like what really holds your attention here is the back and forth that everybody's having about what's going on with this situation, and trying to talk each other into like what they should do about this this person that they are holding captive. It's I think it's great scripting. But I really did enjoy Sinners, and the mid credit scene. That scene, like, well, the first time I saw Sinners, I got to the end of the movie and was like, that was great. Loved this movie. Well done, Ryan Coogler. And then the mid credit scene happened. I did not think I could like this movie any more than I already did. And then the mid credit scene happened, and I was like, perfect. Perfect. Marvel, take notes from your Black Panther director, okay? Because that's how you do a mid credit scene. So I don't know I don't know what's happening on your end, but that was that was a great scene.
Fair, fair. Okay, well, let's move over to the adapted screenplay category. What are your thoughts on this
Yeah,
category?
I want Train Dreams to win this. Um, I think that movie is it's so well, just like it feels so prosy in how it's narrated, and especially like with the visual look of it. Like the vibe of that movie feels just really on point. I want Train Dreams to win, but I don't know how confident I am about it beating One Battle After Another. Um, so I'm gonna give the win to One Battle After Another, but man, Train Dreams deserves this one.
I agree with you that I think Train Dream should win. Narration is such a tricky thing to achieve in
Mhm,
film, and considering most of this film is
mhm,
narrated, holds my attention the whole time. It doesn't help that Joel Edgerton has such a smooth voice, and like I'd listen to him read
right.
anything, even though he's like doing an American accent, which is crazy because he's
Mhm,
Australian, and he just does such a good job doing this sort of like northeastern Pacific accent that's just so smooth and crisp. Like he does such a good job with this
mhm.
film. But I think that it's going to go to Hamnet. You know,
Oh, okay. All right.
I I could see it going to one battle, and I wouldn't be surprised. But I think this might be the consolation prize for Hamnet in terms of
Mm.
getting maybe another award.
Mhm. Totally, and
Um,
I can't disagree with that. I do think that Hamnet is a really great adaptation here, and very effective. Like I just mentioned, I was a mess at the end of this movie. So I think how everything unfolds in the story is very much lends itself to the writing and how good the writing is here.
All right, let us move over to Best Supporting Actor.
Alrighty.
This is a tough category. I really like all of the performances here. I'd be happy with really any of them winning. That said, I want Sean Penn to win. I think this is probably the one that like I've been flip flopping the most of. I've changed this so many times. I'm gonna go with Stellan Skarsgård only because he's never won before. He's never even been nominated before, I don't believe. And Sean Penn already has 2 Oscars. And I think it's so close, neck and neck. I think there's going to be enough voters that go, they're equal, but, Skarsgård's never won. And so that's my thing. But then, I can also say the same thing about Benicio del Toro, where I think that they can go for him too.
This is such a hard category. You can make an argument for any combination of who you want to win versus who will win. Like any combination is correct. I actually, if there was one award that Frankenstein I think deserves, it's Jacob Elordi as supporting actor. I think the physicality he brings to this role is something I did not know he was capable of. And so the unfortunate thing is that I don't think these actor awards always go to the actual best performances. And I don't know, is Jacob Elordi the best performance here? I'm not sure. I just know for like if we're comparing Jacob Elordi to Jacob Elordi, like that was an award-winning performance from him as the Frankenstein's monster. But okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I want Jacob Elordi to win, but I think it's going to go to Benicio del Toro.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, his character in One Battle After Another is such a standout cameo, if you want to call it that. Like he is so just like out there and so comical and just like when he shows up, like the whole dynamic of the movie just changes in a good way. And I mean the whole movie is fun, but he brings an energy that just like that just elevates the film. And again, you can make this argument about maybe even Sean Penn, but because his character is kind of wild too. But I don't know. I just like Benicio del Toro's performance really stuck with me as like, wow, that was a component of this film that I really really liked. Whereas I know a lot of people gravitated to Sean Penn's kind of his like weird antagonist energy here. It didn't work for me. But this is just kind of a kind of an out there kind of film, and I don't know. You could make the argument that because there are 2 One Battle After Another nominees here, that it could go to someone not in One Battle After Another, which supports your Stellan Skarsgård pick. But I'm gonna stick with what I said. Jacob Elordi I'd like to win, and I think it's gonna go to Benicio del Toro.
Yeah, I don't think like there's almost no wrong picks here. It's gonna be so tough. I'm very curious to see how this category plays out. All right, let's move over to Best Supporting Actress. What are your thoughts on this category?
Best Supporting Actress. Again, we have 2 nominees in from one film, which I don't know if that's going to split the votes. I just didn't like Weapons. Oh man, I know which Amy Madigan won at the Actors Awards, right?
She did, yeah.
Hmm.
This is another one that's gonna be so hard to predict.
It really is going to be hard to predict. I think who I want to win and who should win should be Tanya Taylor. For One Battle
Okay.
After Another. I like it. I think here I will apply the split votes kind of trend where it's hard to discern who is better between Elle and Inga. I don't think Center's Wunmi is in the conversation enough here, and I just didn't like Weapons. So there's my thought process.
Fair. Me too. It was fine.
Yeah, just fine, right? Weapons and F1, both of those are 2 movies that just don't belong at the Oscars, in my opinion.
Fair. For my want to win, I'm gonna go with Inga Ibsdottir Lilius from Sentimental Value. I really liked her. She had a lot of the most grounded work in that film, and I absolutely loved it. Honestly, everyone in this cast I absolutely loved. but I want to win is Teyana Taylor as well. I think who I think will win. Sorry, is Teyana
Mhm.
Taylor. I think she did a terrific job, very deserving. She's only in the first third of the movie, but has such a looming presence over the entire film,
Totally.
where you constantly feel her there, especially once we follow. Their daughter as she gets older, and you sort of see how much of her influence is baked into her
Hmm.
character.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's go over to Best Actress. This is going to be a pretty simple one. I feel like you and I are going to be on the same page
We
of
will.
this, both who we want to win and who we think will win. And for me, that's Jessie Buckley. She gave just such a powerhouse performance. Was so raw and emotionally vulnerable, and the pain that she goes through is just so traumatic, and then the relief that she gets is so cathartic. It's hard not to be on the same wavelength as what she was doing in this film, where it truly was probably the best acting performance of the year, regardless of size or gender.
Yeah, totally. I mean, Jessie Buckley, I've been on the Jessie Buckley train for a while. Every movie that she's in, I am very interested in seeing. I think she's just such a great actress. And, here in Hamnet, she absolutely like dominates this role from start to finish. It's such a great performance. And I'm looking at the other nominees. Rose Byrne did a good job in If I Had Legs. Renat Rensiv, also a good job in Sentimental Value. Emma Stone, great in Begonia. I like her in pretty much everything she does. I don't know why Kate Hudson's here. Her performance was fine, but Song Sung Blue was not my favorite movie of the year. But yeah, obviously, like on top of Jessie Buckley being like just having the best performance in this movie, I think she is the strongest candidate in these nominees. So yeah, what I want, who I want, and will win. Who I want to win and who will win, I'm going with Jessie Buckley.
Nice. Yeah, I knew we were going to be on the same
Yeah.
page there. All right, now let's go over to Best Actor, and I'm curious if we're going to be on the same page here as well. So why don't you start us off?
Timothy Chalamet. Actually, you know what? Because you've shedded light on the voting thing. Yeah, he those. It's funny watching that video where he makes that statement about opera and
Ballet.
ballet. You can see the moment where he realized he messed up, um, and he acknowledges it too. Like, um, let's see. I think so. Let me just talk this out really quick because Michael B. Jordan is a strong has a strong performance in Sinners. I don't know if like watching Sinners, his performance as Smoke and Stack are different enough for me to give him like a whole bunch of accolades for playing two different characters. I've heard from like I've watched interviews with other actors that says his presence totally changes and he does have this aura that changes when he goes from Smoke to Stack. I just don't know if that difference was strong enough on screen. It's a good performance, and I think there's enough subtleties between the two that you're never confused at who's who, and of course, costume design also goes into that as well. Um, but if I'm going to give an award to Marty Supreme, it would be for Timothy Chalamet and his performance. I did not like Marty Supreme for reasons that my friends have shamed me for. I just didn't care for that story. How I can do a whole podcast conversation about why Marty Supreme just wasn't for me. But Timothy Chalamet is undeniable as an actor. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you can have your own thoughts about his ego or maybe his ambitions and how he's vocalized and portrayed that. But just looking at him as a performer, I think he did the job here. He did the job really well. So I'm gonna go with wanting Michael B. Jordan to win because I like Sinners more than I like Marty Supreme. But I think knowing that voting closed before his fatal statements, he'll probably get it for Marty Supreme. Because and
Hmm.
really quick, I do want to point out how unfortunate it is that he's had a near flawless campaign, up until that statement. And it's kind of funny how we're all on the Timothy Chalamet train until like this 5 second statement that he makes. And then we're all like, oh, he's a terrible person. It's there's a lot actually that you can talk a lot about what happened in that conversation. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to internalize our reverence for someone until until one mistake, and then our complete dissociation from them because of that mistake.
Yeah, it's for me, I try to tune out a lot of this stuff because there's so much mudslinging that goes on during the
Hmm.
Oscar season because this is such a big deal for so many studios. They spend so much money on it and they will do whatever they need to win. That said, sometimes the nominees put their own foot in
Right.
their mouths. They don't need anyone's help. In the case of Timmy here, um, I just I all of this is just stupid noise to
Hmm.
me. Where like I'm like, oh, he said something stupid,
Hmm.
whatever. As long as he's not saying something, actually derogatory, actually harmful, actually malicious. It's like, do people care about ballet and opera? Yeah. Do people not care about it? Yeah.
Totally.
I'm not going to be offended about it.
I-
Like, even if it was my career or lifestyle, like how I choose to spend my time and energy. So, like, it's one of those things where I'm just like, guys, there's bigger things in the world to care
There
about.
are. I think what happened in that conversation is he had an off the record conversation on the record. Um
Yeah.
and, and that's problematic. I mean, but to be fair, the silver lining here is that I think opera houses and ballet houses have had a chance to capitalize on this. I think it was the Seattle Opera that said they put a post type Chalamet in the promo code to get 15% off or something. Like, yes, all right, guys. Like, look, and I
Yeah.
know that plenty of people have posted their reactions to this, which gives them gives them exposure and gives people, the ability to see them and associate with them. So like, I think that there are positives that came out of this unfortunate statement. But yeah, lots that can be dissected here.
hmm For me, though, I want Michael B. Jordan to win. I really liked him. In fact, I liked all five of the nominees here. I thought they were all
Mhm,
terrific.
totally.
Um, I, yeah, including as much as I love Ethan Hawke, I think he does a great job. I wasn't crazy
I
about
wasn't
Blue Moon.
either. I wasn't.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but I still would love Ethan Hawke to win
Hmm.
one day. That would be a dream. He's one of the
Hmm.
best. But yeah, I love Michael B. Jordan. I think he did a great job. Playing two roles. Yes, at times I do agree that they did feel a little similar. I know a lot of people will argue otherwise, which fine. I'll just concede that point. I'm not going to argue with you
Right.
about that. But still, what he had to do was a lot of
Totally.
work, and I think he did. I don't think he had a false note in his performances. I think he did a great job there. In terms of who I think will win, I actually do think it'll be Michael B. Jordan. I think
Mm.
regardless of whatever this kerfuffles might be, um, I think there's been a swing towards singers recently, and I think Michael B. Jordan is really going to benefit from that.
That's so funny because the narrative is going to blame that statement he made. Like,
Oh, 100% it
that's
will.
so
And
fascinating.
people aren't going to care. Yeah.
And I mean, yeah. Oh, I can't wait for the conversations because all either way, whether Timmy wins or not, there's going to be conversations about that statement, and how much
Mhm.
it impacted, even though we know it didn't. Like the narrative online is going to be so interesting. Um, what about Wagner Mora? I was thinking about him and the momentum that he's gotten.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Honestly, like I thought he did a great job in The Secret Agent. He also plays two roles in this. I don't want to kind of spoil too much about it, but he does a really fantastic job in this film. I've been a fan of his since I first saw him in
Hmm.
Narcos several years ago, and then he was great in Civil War as well. So yeah, I've been a huge Wagner Moore fan for a while, and I would love for him to win. This would be a very deserving and a very inspired pick for me.
All right.
Basically, what I'm saying is you need to watch
And
The
that's what
Secret
I'm
Agent.
getting. I'm sensing that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, we're almost here at the end. So let's go to Best Director. Who do you think is going to win Best Director? And who you want
Boy,
to win?
this is toggling between one battle after another in centers. I want Kugler to win. I want him to be rewarded for not only how he directed this film, but how he's directing his career. I think he's making bold choices with the movies that he takes on, but correctly balancing, mainstream blockbusters with, stories that he wants to tell, and also negotiating properly with studios. I think he's doing a lot within Sinners, of course, to make that movie really good, but also within his career, and I think he deserves a win here. Um, I would also, yeah, uh, boy, I'm gonna. I want Kugler to win, and I think he's gonna win. There we go.
Ooh, you think
I
he's
think
going to
he's
win
gonna
too?
win. Yep.
Okay, interesting. Well, this is going to be a conversation that we'll have with the next category as well, where we'll see if
Right.
you think it's going to be a split or if it's going both ways to
Uh-huh.
Sinners here. I agree with exactly what you're saying. I think Kugler would be a very great choice. I'd be very happy with that. But I do want Paul Thomas
Yeah.
Anderson to win. You know, he is one of my favorite directors. I would have loved if he had already had an Oscar by this point. You know, it's tough that There Will Be Blood came out the same year as No Country for Old Men. It's tough that Phantom Thread didn't get the recognition it deserved. It's tough that, you know, so many of his great films went under recognized. But I think this is sort of like the perfect culmination of events, much like Christopher Nolan's for Oppenheimer a couple years ago, where it sort of seems like, yes, is this not necessarily a lifetime achievement award, but like, look, you've been building up to this for a long time. Everything worked this year in your favor. This is your year. And that's sort of how I feel. That's why I want him to win. And I also think he will win because of that.
Huh.
That said, I would not be shocked in the slightest if Ryan Coogler won.
Totally. Totally. I and
Yeah.
when you say it like that, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Paul Thomas Anderson wins. I think the Academy has tended to give quote unquote lifetime achievement awards over what actually, and I'm not saying one is actually more deserving than the other. Both are in, of my top films of the year. But in the choice between rewarding new talent and rewarding and Ryan Clear isn't necessarily new, but like you know what I'm saying, someone who's a little more experienced in the industry, who has more movies under the belt. They usually give it to the more experienced person, and so that wouldn't surprise me. I mean, do we need to go back to the Jamie Lee Curtis situation to find better examples? But yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if Paul Thomas Anderson wins. But this could be a good. It would be a nice change of pace for the Oscars to give it to someone like Kugler. But both are very deserving. I don't know what I'm arguing here.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those years where, like, no matter what, as film fans,
Yeah,
we're eating.
totally,
Like, this is a great year.
totally.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're down to the best picture. I'm gonna go first. I think by now we kind of know where both of our splits sort of
Hmm.
stand. My want is I would love it for One Battle After Another to win. This was my favorite movie of the year. Surprise, surprise. And I also think it will win. You know, maybe Sinners will win. I think Paul Thomas Anderson is more locked in for director than One Battle is for
Hmm.
picture. If there's a split, I think it'll go PTA for director, Sinners for picture, but I do think it's going to be consistent and One Battle is going to win both of them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I am so confident that F1 is going to win Best Picture. So
100%.
confident.
Not The Secret
You know,
Agent?
that's my next choice. No, this is so interesting. I guess I would like to be more part of the actual voters' conversations. Like when they go to these cocktail parties, like what are they talking about, and how are they like influencing each other? Um, because
Hmm.
there's a part of me that thinks there's a nearby reality where votes between One Battle and Sinners are so split that Secret Agent ends up winning. Um, but I don't know what these conversations are happening behind the scenes. So I'm gonna actually, here's what I'm gonna do. What I want to win is actually Train Dreams. I want Train Dreams to win. We've been talking about that movie since Sundance last year when it premiered, and it's so cool that that movie is one of those films that premiered at Sundance and stayed relevant in the conversation all the way up until into getting a Best Picture nomination. It really is a stunning film, and I'm not saying that I like it more than Sinners or One Battle After Another, but I'm so kind of tired of hearing about Sinners and One Battle After Another. That if the Academy was to split the votes so much that a third option rose to the top, I would love for it to be Train Dreams. That said, I think what will win will be in line with Best Director, and I'm gonna pick Sinners will win.
I'm not surprised at all you went in that direction at all. But yeah, it's gonna be very interesting because I feel like between the two of us, we probably got
Hmm.
everything right. It's just which side of the coin is it gonna land
Totally,
on?
totally.
Well, Thomas, thank you very much for doing this exercise with me. How confident do you feel in our picks here?
I think we've talked our way through this. I think I'm gonna fill out my official ballot. So you have this ballot, which is kind of my precursor to my official ballot, that I think I'll fill out with my team when we have this conversation. And I think this was a good conversation. I think that we have a lot of logical um, reasoning for our choices. Just kind of understanding our experience with the academy and what they typically choose, and obviously our experience with what we've seen. And I think I'm just interested now in getting to the awards night and seeing who wins. um that's what I'm looking forward to now. I'm sure that's what we're all looking forward to. And really, I want some upsets. I want a couple upsets. I think that'd be fun to be entirely wrong about something, but I think we got most of them right.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, well, next week we will recap the Oscars and reveal who the winner was for our Oscar draft, and you'll have to see who had the best team. Also, make sure you check out episode 327, where Jeff Bulmer interviewed Alison McAlpine, the Oscar-nominated director of the documentary short Perfectly a Strangeness. Thomas, thank you so much for coming on today. Where can people find more of your work?
Yes, you can find my podcasts, our team's movie reviews, and a lot of my interviews, including that interview that I did with the editor of It Was Just an Accident. You can find all that at thisisforreal.com. For real, of course, spelled FORREEL. And make sure to follow us on social media. The handle is at This Is For Real on most platforms.
Nice. This has been a That Shelf podcast. Visit thatshelf.com for more great film discourse. Follow the show on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at ContraZoomPod. Who do you think had the better predictions? Leave a comment on Spotify or send us an email. Thank you to Eric and Kevin Smale for the theme music and to Stephanie Pryor for the logo design. If you like to listen to podcasts on YouTube, we do post all episodes there as well. And if you really like the show, consider tipping us on coffee. Thanks for checking us out.